Hello there, Seraphim17 once again, coming to a very close end of this Bayonetta video walkthrough on hard, from a fresh save. And this is the second level that's a little bit different on this game and a little bit crazy. And this is kind of your afterburner level, with some nice funky music and some hectic gunplay. It's also the second novelty level that lasts just a little bit longer than it probably should. And the first thing I'll say is, I've not played this game in a while, as I keep mentioning, and this level took me by storm because, as you noticed, I got dicked by the bullets. And there is a way to do this without being hurt, and it's very simple. Just keep pressing the trigger and you'll keep rolling like I do there. And you can literally look away from the screen, watch TV or your PC or whatever's closest, and just keep bashing the trigger and you'll practically never get hurt. There's a couple of moments later on in this level where you have to fight bosses and things, but up until then, and it's a while till they turn up, you can literally play the game without looking at it. Not that you should, because the first time you play this level it's pretty funny. Just make sure you do it when you're not tired, because if your eyes are tired this might strain them, because this is pretty fucking fast. It's like F-Zero or something. A couple of easy tips for you. Hold the trigger, not the trigger, sorry, hold the X button to shoot constantly, and your torture bar on this will fire a missile, a little hair missile of a fist. And save that for the enemies that are pissing you off, basically. Because you get witch time just like you did before, by slightly dodging things, activating witch time and all that kind of stuff. So you can use, there you go, they're the hair missiles, because this is the first boss you're going to fight in the sky, and you'll fight a few of these geezers. You actually fight, I think, 3 of them at the same time a little later on. And there's no real excuse to get stuck on this part of the level. On the boss of this level there is a very good reason to get stuck, because you're going to be fighting against Jean, and this is the penultimate moment of the game. This is the climax between you and her and your relationship, and it's the last encounter. This is the Virgil 3 of Bayonetta, and it's a very challenging fight for all intents and purposes. But we'll come to that when we get there. All I'll say is, you're fighting to the checkpoints if you're not very good. Which I hope, by this moment in the game, you're getting pretty good at fighting Jean, because she fights very similar, she just gets more aggressive. And this is a long fight, because you're going to fight her in several different areas, and with each transition she's going to get more aggressive, she's going to get more life, and it's an interesting fight, and it's very fun if you're good at fighting her. But as you can see, we're now on the side of the missile. Did a little bit of a perspective change, and all you have to do is kill these guys and then you can continue on the level. It's nothing too taxing. Be careful of him, he's enraged and on fire. Never a good combination. But yeah, the left bumper prompt stays on the screen for a hell of a long time, and I don't know if it's because this is a completely fresh game. Obviously I've played this level a dozen times on my old account, and I've never seen the prompt, to be honest with you, because it's been such a while since I first played the game. Because I managed to get this game when it first came out. I got it the same time I got Darksiders, another really good third-person action game. And I can never actually remember seeing that left bumper prompt. But here you go, this is a fight with fortitude in the sky, and as you can see, if you keep spinning you'll keep dodging his moves, and he gives you little openings to hurt him. His life bar's not very large, so you should be able to clean him up pretty quickly. A couple of things to note: he does have this big phalanx of machine gun fire. He fires the balls at you that are very fast, but they do get your witch time, which will dick him if you can get it. And he also does, I thought there was a move where enemies spawn, but I think that's Temperance, who comes up a little later. So just be careful. He'll do his green laser death spam, and he does his fireball breath. That aside, he's pretty standard. And I knew it was coming that time, and I think if you hit the rocks you can fire them back at him, and ooh, goodness me, face rape. See you later, pal. And that's the first section of the level down, but unfortunately this fucker goes on for a solid 10 minutes. But I wish I'd have actually got my capture card earlier, because making video guides is something I always spoke about, because I've seen it in various areas, and it's something I've been interested in, because I love playing games, and I love every facet of gaming, because I can play anything really. I'll give anything a try. I once played a porno game that was in a foreign language and managed to complete that, so that just tells you the extent of my resume. But if I had, I would have definitely done Darksiders, because that was a really fun game, and the dungeons on that game totally reminded me of the Zelda, because you got your sub-weapon that you used throughout the level on the puzzles, and then you took on the boss that had to be killed with that sub-weapon, and it was kind of like Zelda with an awesome aesthetic thrown on top of it. So I really enjoyed Darksiders, and I would have loved to make a guide, but the only way I see myself making a guide for it is if it's requested and I get enough people wanting it, which is probably going to be pretty rare, because the game itself is really easy, especially on the hardest difficulty. It's nothing on a game like this, but luckily enough, Darksiders 2 is well on a way of being developed, so when that one comes out, if I'm still doing this shit, I'll definitely throw that one up, because that's going to be fun as hell. Not too much to say about the strategy of this, because this is the only level you're going to be doing this in, and it's kinda what you've done every time you went to the arcade as a kid and played Afterburner in the big seat. Spaz around the screen shooting and don't die. It's that simple. And that warning tells you that you're going to come up against another boss, so here comes a couple more of the snakes. And the snakes fly towards you firing the rocks. All you do is dodge one of the rocks, and then it'll give you witch time so that you can dig the snakes. And as I said, there's a couple of them, so you'll take on 3 in a row, but these are really no real threat. The biggest threat on this level is probably epilepsy, because of how fast the screen's scrolling. And as you can hear there, they make a noise as they release the rocks, so there's another audio cue telling you that you're being attacked. And that's the sign of good game design, that, because these games are designed in such a highly crafted way that every enemy has a weakness, every enemy has a strength. Every enemy has a way that they can be beaten and almost shown up if you're good enough to suss them out. And all the toppest quality action games will have these various subtle nuances in them to reward the players that are willing to spend the time. And a good example of this is in the Devil May Cry. I know I sound like a giant Devil May Cry fanboy, but the reason for that is because I fucking am. So there you go. If you don't like it, go eat a dick. But I love those games. And a good example is the Royal Guard, which was a move that was introduced in Devil May Cry 3. It was one of the classes you could choose and the skill sets. And for anybody that's not played it, in layman's terms, there was a button you could press. And when you pressed it, the main character put both his hands out, kind of like Ryu when he does a Hadouken. And he didn't fire anything, it was just kind of like a kind of thing. He just put both hands out, and it was a block, effectively. And if you got good with that, you could play that entire game and never get hit. Because what would happen is, if you blocked the very second they were going to hit you, it would do no damage to you, it would completely immobilize the attack, and it would build a little bar. And the more you built this bar, the bigger the release was. So you could literally take on all these enemies, and if you'd studied them enough, you could stop every attack they tried to hit you with like it was nothing. I mean, this shit is not easy. It would take fucking hours of practice to get it down, but there's a lot of people on YouTube that did. So they would block everything with the Royal Guard, and they'd make it look super easy, and then as soon as the guy was about to attack again, instead of blocking, they'd do something called a just release, which is where they used all that pent up damage that they'd gained from the blocks, and they'd release it on the enemy, and it would generally instantly kill them, or do enough damage to be like, whoa. And this game is very similar because it was made by the same guy who originally coined Devil May Cry, so a lot of things carry across. And it's these subtle parts to these games that I absolutely love. I'm not Korean enough to sit down and go super psycho on them, but there's a part of me that definitely loves getting in there. And as you can see, I'm in trouble at this moment in time, kind of low on life, and this is Temperance, one of the cardinals we fought before, with very similar moves. And the general gist of this is, he does the I-beam, you dodge the I-beam, you get the which time you dig his face. Once he's finished with that, he'll shoot you with his hands, and he'll summon the cherubs to come after you. If you can kill enough of the cherubs, you will get torture bar, so that you can fire the hair punches at him. But it's not really necessary because you can dodge all this shit, dodge his laser, and then shoot his face. Give him a nice bucket full of bukkake, and should be the end of him. Although, it just wouldn't be interesting if I didn't have a millimeter of life and the prospect of me losing was on the horizon. So now you can see I'm sick of getting hit, so I'm using the technique of bashing the trigger to make sure I dodge everything. And he's doing the laser attack again. It's a vertical one. Dodge it and hit his face. And we're coming to the end of this flying section, and immediately after this is your fight with Jean. So get ready for some high octane action, because she's definitely going to bring it this time. And it's not going to get interrupted by any bullshit. It's you and her, a bunch of quick time events, a bunch of cutscenes, and just a big old bucket of insanity. And I now have no life, which is a common theme in this guide, so I hope you guys are enjoying that, because I'm usually shitting my pants at this moment in time. Which is kind of silly really, especially on this level, because it's not necessarily difficult, it's just you get tagged a lot if you're not paying attention. But here he goes, end of the video. See you in the next video, guys.